Welcome back, everyone. My name is Hill. This is Mike Games and Andrick on my far right, and we are on the Two Industry podcast. And we got through talking about my top 10 of 2013, talked about Mike Games' top 10 of 2013, and Andrick's was so hot that the video just crashed and burned. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go over his top 20, top 10 with the honorable mentions.
Right.
And where do we start off first? What do you have for us?
Well, I'm going to start from my top 10 picks from 2013. It's going to start from the bottom, going all the way up to the top.
Okay.
And yeah, so let's begin. So my last pick, least favorite, but it's on the list, is Assassin's Creed 4.
It is the last pick.
Yeah, the last pick on the list.
And this is like top 5 for most people.
Yeah, and it played a lot better than the third one, which I liked.
Which you liked?
Which I didn't like. Which I didn't like. Sorry, thank you. I didn't like it so much, but this one was a lot better. I didn't like the character as much, but he grew on me near the end, and the gameplay came back with a vengeance.
Okay.
And so I'm able to sneak around and not get caught all the time. So that was nice. So it made the list.
And they didn't have like the sneaking mechanic too much in the third one, right?
Well, they did. It just didn't work. It was just a broken game. All in all, the whole game was just, I felt like, broken.
They were using a new engine, to be fair.
Yeah, it's true, but they should have gotten the kinks out. Yeah. I kind of felt the same way about the third one that I felt about the very first Assassin's Creed. So the next one is Brother Tale of Two Sons.
Really?
That was on Xbox.
Wow.
It was an indie game. Some people knew about it, some people didn't. But it has very cool mechanics where you're controlling both characters on the same controller. And the story is actually pretty cool. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
It's a very emotional story. And that's typically what catches people. If you want a quick award, if you're an indie developer, is just have like a very emotional story with like some random mechanic.
Right.
That seems to be the trend, huh?
Right. And the cool thing, I think this was directed by an actual movie director.
Oh yeah,
his
that's
first
right. That's
foray into to video games.
Christopher Nolan.
No.
A lot of gray. A lot of gray.
No Christopher Nolan. No. No Christian Bale. No nothing like that. Actually, it didn't.
Where is he?
Exactly. Actually, there's no actual dialogue as far as they don't use real English words or anything like that. So. Or when they're talking. So yeah.
You're actually playing.
Basically, yeah. The Sims, the game, part 2. And then Mike mentioned this on his list was Far Cry Blood Dragon.
All right.
It's a pretty cool game. I won't go into detail because he kind of went into that, but if you can start running and flipping off, giving the finger while you're running, and you got crazy 80s music and things like that, it just works for me on every level.
80s actor.
It worries me that if they're going to make a part 2 or make it a full-length game, what direction it's going to go in, and hopefully it doesn't kill the specialty that the DLC had. So
I think they have a lot of inspiration out there. If you watch a couple of G.I. Joes,
Yeah, I hope so, and I just hope they don't. Obviously with any brand, you hope they don't ruin it,
right?
Because it's getting the full attention now,
right?
So, Bioshock Infinite, which is Hill's favorite game or second favorite game.
Well, what was the word that you described?
It was ambitious.
It was ambitious. Why was it ambitious? And you don't have to give away the spoiler that everyone knows about already. Has fucking beat into the ground.
it for the small scope that they had, for the small scope of people that worked on that game and what they were trying to imply in the story and the gameplay, it was ambitious. I don't want to ruin anything for you. There are parts of the story that work really well.
Right.
It's something that you cannot get from a movie, in my opinion. But there are things that kind of fall apart, and that has to do somewhat with the gameplay. And I know you play everything on hard, so and I know you mentioned it earlier in one of our earlier podcasts that it was just ridiculous, right? Some of the points.
Yeah, there's some points that were just overwhelming.
Yeah, but I really did like the world. I like the story, and I even got the DLC, which I actually think is somewhat better than the actual game, the full length of game.
Is it because of like the nostalgia factor, or that it
Yeah,
actually worked better?
yeah, it actually worked on a lot of levels. It, I won't spoil it for you, but I'm sure if you looked up the DLC, you would see that it has to do with the previous Bioshock.
Right.
Um, and it was just cool to go back in that world and then kind of deal with it in a new perspective.
I think what I'm really disappointed in is that they added all these characters that had their own story arcs and just kind of glanced over them in the main
Mhm.
campaign, and they didn't really release any DLC to give like a backstory in those.
Right, they didn't
characters.
develop those characters more.
And they should have. They
Yeah.
really should have.
I get that.
Yeah.
And was it you that said you didn't like or you thought it was one of the best shooters?
It is. It is one of the best shooters out
More
there.
so than like Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I felt it worked. If you're used to the Bioshock mechanics, I thought it actually played a lot better than the actual Bioshock.
Wow.
The first one, just because I felt it was smoother.
And unlike these other first-person shooters, it didn't require a patch.
Right? Yeah,
To work.
didn't require a
function.
patch. And it's cool being in that world. Like I said, there are some faults. It's not a perfect game, but it's definitely a game worth being on the top 10. So.
All right. What's next?
Hill's favorite game, number one game, Tomb Raider.
All right, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I still like this game. I even briefly considered getting it for the new system. Just it was just a fun time. It had its faults as well, but it was cool to be in that kind of Indiana Jones, Nathan Drake, Uncharted kind of thing with Sony.
It definitely made you want to play Uncharted, right? Especially when you
Actually,
look at all the flaws.
I like the whole bow mechanic, and that's something you can't get on Uncharted.
I liked it too, except when it's a flaming arrow in a person's head.
The flame.
They're still alive.
And that was the game that started the year of the bow and arrow, didn't it? Oh no.
No,
That
I
was
think-
Far Cry.
No, I actually think it was what was that? Gosh, I can't think of it.
Whatever game
The Bethesda game. What was it called?
Oh, with the arrow in the knee?
Yeah, I think
Um,
I forgot what. It
Oh,
was.
sorry guys.
Yeah, we're
old.
brain fart right now.
They're like, oh my god, it's fucking.
You're screaming.
I want to say Oblivion, but it's not.
No, Elder Scrolls. No,
No, it is Elder Scrolls.
is it?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, one of those games.
Yeah.
I don't like Bethesda. So they'll never make my top of the list
Great,
as far
we
as
just
I can
lost
see.
all of our viewers.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sorry. That being said, yeah, so that made my list. The next game actually really kind of fell for. It was a platformer. It came on a PlayStation 4, and it's called Knack, and it uses the art of like Dream. What's it called? Like the Shrek type art.
Right.
DreamWorks.
DreamWorks. There we go. The story is okay. It's not bad, but the gameplay was superb. I felt like whoever made that game really loved platformers and they put their heart into it.
And they were really trying to roll it out for like Sony.
Yeah, I felt like it,
Showcase that.
what it could do.
Right.
Right. I felt it played very well as far as a platformer.
And that's
goes.
what's interesting too, because a lot of viewers out there they looked at it negatively, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Which I can get. I mean, again, it's not a perfect game. There hardly ever are, but it did a lot of things right. More so, it was a pleasant surprise,
Okay.
and I think that's why it made my list
Okay.
because I wasn't really expecting to like it as much as I did.
Right.
Mm, That's
Yeah.
actually what I'm playing right now, and
Mhm.
it's actually one of my honorable mentions that I forgot to say.
There's a long list of your honorable mentions.
I didn't list any.
Exactly.
So there we go. The next one is one that Hill mentioned to me, and that was Thomas. Thomas Was Alone. It came out on PSP, so it made the list, even though it came out last year on PC. But it came on the PS Vita. I'm sorry, and it was great. It's a great story. I was not attracted to it just simply because the graphics were really. I didn't give it a chance. I'll say that because it's basically a little square that jumps
Right.
around.
It's very subdued.
Right. But the story is amazing. It has a narrator, and it walks you through. You progress as a character. You get new powers and things like that. It works on a lot of levels,
And
and
what works so much about it too is that like every game company feels like they have to really push a character
Mhm.
to sell a game, and these are just blocks, and they
Right.
have a wonderful story.
yeah, exactly. And it shows what you can do with so little, and make a game so impactful.
Right.
And one thing that will always win me over is when I go into expecting something and you just flip it on me.
Right.
And this is what that game did over and over and over again, to the point we even got the DLC for it.
Wow.
So yeah, you can pick it up on the Vita. I believe you can get it on your PlayStation 3 as well, but of course you can get it on Steam and all that. So
Well, yeah, I figured him out. Developers, all you have to do is just not market your game, and then release it and surprise Andric, and you're gonna get his money.
yeah,
That's how you do
basically you'll be on my top 10 list, which everybody listens to and been waiting anxiously for. The next one is it's not a surprise to anybody, GTA 5. Again, I won't go into detail. A lot of people you can see this, a lot of people's reviews about this game, but it is a great game. If you're really not a fan of GTA series, I think this is a great one to get into. It shows it's polished on every level.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason it's not number one is because there were so many other games. There are a few other games that came out that just barely beat it, but damn, it's a great game.
Right. It probably did things differently because we're used to Grand Theft Auto and the kind of ideal of it.
Right.
And your favorite part of it was the heist.
Yeah, the heist was just a great how you wanted to tackle it, how you wanted to go through it and plan that out. And there's more than one. I wish there were more heist in the game,
Right.
just because it was that much fun to play.
I'm surprised they don't have like a full. Well, they do have a game called Heist. It's a first-person shooter game.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised they don't have like a full-out game in Grand Theft Auto's kind of atmosphere, where it's all about heist and just planning, and you make it multiplayer and make it like tougher and tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, there are games that are kind of tackling that. Payday is one. Payday 2 came out.
Yeah.
There is, and I think that's actually free on PlayStation. You can actually, if you're a PlayStation Plus member. There's also Monaco, Project Monaco or something like that. That's a top-down view of a heist where you can get together with a bunch of people. But that's really
in Grand Theft Auto's like third person.
Right, that would be great
because multiplayer aspect. Yeah.
If they did DLC for that, then I would be all over that. So.
Right.
A great game. The radio stations are some of my favorite in the world. I could if it was if I had to pay for that radio station on Sirius, I totally would do that. I totally would just.
I've always
here's
thought
my
about
money.
that. They should just have like either a CD or like where you could buy like the radio station and you just listen to it. And I'm talking about all of Grand Theft Autos.
Right, but I want fresh content. I really want that world to live and breathe. Like I want to turn on my radio and just listen.
Somebody just say random shit.
Yeah, just random like fake products.
That would be hard after like 1 week. They would say, "What else can we come up with?"
You just got to get some comedians. Was it JB Smooth is on there, and a couple other people, and just have them be fake DJs. I would pay for that. Okay, so that leads us to what a lot of people consider the best game of the year, and even made our Epic 20 was The Last of Us. It is how games should strive to be. And how movies should even strive to be, where it impacts you in such a way where you're left just drained, and not in a bad way, but in a way that you're like, wow, I can't believe a game can be that impactful.
Right.
On every level, sound design, music, character.
Even from the beginning, just like how Mike said, it just grabs you right off the bat.
Yeah, it sucks you into that world, and
this is what's crazy too, is that this thing was marketed like thoroughly, and how they handled their marketing, they were able to stay away from spoiling anything.
Yeah. It works on every video game trope, movie trope that you can think of, and the only reason it didn't make my number one was because
first of all, you had Tomb Raider on your list. Now this doesn't make your number one. You're on my shit list.
The only reason this didn't make number one was because I was drained from it, and it's like watching a movie that just you're glad you saw it,
right?
But you just don't want to visit it for a while.
Like it would win an Oscar, but it's like, man, I can't watch this anymore.
Right. It's glad something that any video game person needs to play, and I feel that solidifies you as a video game person and somebody that likes art, playing that game. So
see, and even though I don't like the sneaking around, I mean, just the story and the music and the mood is what got me.
Yeah,
and it made it all the way to my number two.
Right. And the number one, it totally won for nostalgia reasons, and it's a comment on how great this company can be at their best, and that's Link Between Worlds, and of course it's a Zelda game. When they
on 3DS.
on 3DS, when they put their mind and heart into something, any of their priority games, they just work on all cylinders, and this game just works on all cylinders.
Right.
It's a system seller. Like if you haven't got a I'm sorry, a 3DS, this you should get it with this game.
Right.
If you like Zelda, and there are other games on the system that are great too. But
when Nintendo is really creative, and they come out with products like this is where they're the most successful.
right,
And it seems like on their greater systems they're so.
yeah, it plays so much with a deja vu. If you're a Zelda fan, and then just changes it just a little bit, which it's more. I feel I know it's silly to say, but I feel like it's very impactful to how life is in a way, where you'll feel deja vu in something, but it's just a tad bit different.
Right.
And it does it so well on so many levels on this game, and the design is great, the gameplay is great and smooth. It's a game it's one of those few games I didn't want to finish because I love that world so
Right.
much.
I can understand that.
I wanted to put it down, but then I didn't want to.
I think a lot of people would relate to that.
Right.
When you have that game where you're like, man, I hope this doesn't finish. I hope this keeps going.
Right.
And Zelda did that for you.
And Zelda did that on every level. The sound was amazing again. It sounds like they had a full orchestra working. If you get a chance to see the actual Zelda Nintendo orchestra that travels around
Right.
and play games, see it. I've actually seen it. It's amazing. I feel like they got that same orchestra to do it. And it's just, gosh, it's a great game.
All on the 3DS.
All on the 3DS.
I wanted to actually put that on my list, but since it was a game that I didn't play, I couldn't put it on my list. I think I originally had it on my list, and Andrew's like, "But you didn't play it." Yeah,
I talked him out of it.
and contrast to that is interesting because whenever we were playing The Last of Us, we actually counted because it's broken up by seasons, right? And we were like, okay, which season are you in? I'm almost done with it. I'm almost done.
Which, if you think, is a great way to say without doing spoilers what game you're on, because like it reminds me of Final Fantasy VII, because you would always say what disc are you on, right? And now this one you'd be like, what season are you on?
Right.
It's a great way to do it without spoiling.
But my point is that we were so looking forward to finishing it that you didn't really want to be in that world anymore. You just wanted to see the ending,
right?
Yeah, so I can definitely understand what you meant.
It's true. Yeah, so if that's my top 10 list, check them out. I think you'll be happy with any one of those. If you haven't played them already, buy them all. Give me credit.
All this gold around my neck is so heavy. That's what Andrew has.
Right.
He has every game. He owns them all. In fact, he owns all the games that we played.
Right.
Yeah.
And this TV.
And going back to actually your number one, I remember the thing that wanted me to actually put it on my list was that you were still halfway, I think, but you almost wanted to say that it was better than Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it's definitely number 2.
Wait, viewers, come back. It's okay. We're okay. Just hear us out.
No, it like I said, it did it on so many levels, and it changed it in such a surprising way. It had that same feeling of Ocarina of Time, where there was a new surprise on every turn.
Right.
And this did that in spades. It couldn't beat it out, but God, it did a good job trying to run for that and get number 1 from there. So
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So let's see your honorable mentions. What do you have there?
So I got a list, another list of honorable mentions of games I haven't beaten, or just need to be mentioned. And so here I go. No particular order on this one. Remember Me came out. It's free right now on PlayStation.
A Capcom game on Andrew's list. That's amazing.
I don't mind Capcom so much. They're a nostalgia. They're kid company that I still think they try to do, and hopefully they'll have that one hit that brings everybody back.
Yeah, it's called Street Fighter.
Yeah, right.
Street Fighter 4 number 20.
Oh, we're on the Ultra. It's coming out. Don't worry.
So yeah, Remember Me. It's a fun little story. If you can play it for free or $5 or $10, I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Right.
It's not worth $60, but definitely worth $5 or $10. Right. The Luigi Mansion, Luigi's Mansion.
And this was the first one that you played. You didn't play the original.
Right. I didn't play the original. This is the first one I played on 3DS. It's cool, a little Ghostbuster Luigi going
And
around,
Luigi can hold his
busting
own.
ghosts.
He can hold his own. In
Yeah.
the game.
And I generally don't like Luigi, but it's charming. It's a very
Right.
charming game, and I haven't beaten it still, but it's a fun little 3DS game. Definitely is a companion to a Zelda game or anything else. Works very well and it's fun. The Wonderful 101. I was explaining to Mike, and I even told Hill last time we tried to record this. um, it it tries to reinvent a lot of gameplay and using the gamepad with touch sensitivity and all that. It I admire it for what it's trying to do, even though it's not perfect. And I don't even think it would make my top 10 even if I had beaten the game. But it's definitely something, if you have a Wii U and you want something, and you are a gamer and you want to try something different,
And you finally want a game for the Wii U?
it's a fun investment.
It feels like a very ambitious Pikmin. to me.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than Pikmin because a lot of superheroes.
Right.
Very much, I think it's Platinum 10
Yeah, I think it's Platinum.
or something like that, or Platinum
Put
Games.
in the comments if you.
Basically the same guys that did Bayonetta and stuff like that. So, and you can definitely see the influence in that. It's very over the top, and I think you'd like it. So, yeah, check it out. The next one is Tales of Xillia, a JRPG. I'm kind of a sucker for JRPGs
And the Any Tales series.
and almost any Tales. Yeah, I'd say any Tales. You won. Hill's got it. Yeah, any Tales series. I think they do JRPGs, and they always try to bring something new to the table, and this does it. So there's part 2's coming out later this year for the US. Hopefully, I'll have the first one beat.
Nice.
Devil May Cry is a game that I just got.
DMC.
DMC, yes. Emo guy got a lot of controversy for just being emo. But it was fun gameplay, and if you like the Devil May Cry series, I think you'll like it. It's cool, it's fun, it definitely hits all the right points. It's a different developer this time, but I felt like they got the gameplay
Have
down.
you played any of the other Devil May Cry?
I didn't play the second one, but I played the first and third one.
Okay,
So
those are the only ones that matter.
yeah, I think the second one got
It
horrible
was-
reviews.
It was awful.
Yeah. But Dante again, and him going into the world fight demons,
Reimagined Dante.
reimagined. Yeah, so it's cool. I think you'd like it.
And it's free right now, I think, still on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus. If you get it,
Go and download it right now. And play it while listening to us.
yeah, check it out. It's definitely fun to play. So the next one is Binary Domain, another PlayStation free game,
Yeah.
which I checked out, and I was actually going to buy it. Not when it came out, but but later when it was going to be in the bargain bin. I was actually, it was on my list to look
you hear
out
that,
for.
developers? We wait until it's in the trash can, and then we buy that. Shit.
Well, it's kind of a lot to ask for like $60 for a game that I'm not too sure about, because it got mixed reviews. But it was a really, really great game. It's a third-person shooter. You can tell it's made by a Japanese company. Has the Sega feel to it, and it's a fun little time.
Sega hung their hat on that.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I don't think you'd go wrong if you find it for $5 or $10. Definitely enjoy it while you play it, and if you have PlayStation Plus, get it for free.
I think you even text me. You're like, dude, get this game.
Well, I have to mention games to you because I know you don't like first-person shooters. So if I play a third-person shooter game, I think you might like, and it's very on the par. Well, definitely better than the third Gears of War or the last Gears of War Judgment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and it's a shooter like that. So third-person shooter. So and the story was great.
So if you were thinking about get Judgment, get by there.
Domain, yeah.
Don't waste your money on Here's a Word Judgment.
Yeah.
It's been judged.
Yeah, it's been judged and it failed.
That's why it wasn't on our top 10 of
No,
2013.
it wasn't on our iPad. So.
Top 10 of worst games of the year.
Disappointments.
Don't get me on that list. That'd be interesting.
The next one is Mario Brothers 3D World. Again, Nintendo
Did not make your top 10.
did not make my. Again, I didn't beat it, but it worked on all cylinders. Again, it goes to Nintendo knows how to make their games, and when they put their time and effort into something, it just wins you over with charm and nostalgia, which is something they do great. And apparently, well, it's sad to see Wii U not doing as well. But again, add this with maybe a Zelda game or a Metroid game coming out, I think the system would actually start to sell them.
Yeah, I mean that's their whole thing. They're just waiting for a party game to
Yeah.
really hit off.
So it's a shame. I won't go into the Nintendo thing, but yeah, it's a great game. If you have a Wii U, it's a must buy.
And I'm always bashing the Wii U, and it made it to my top 10.
Right, and it's cool because you get the full experience in the gamepad. You don't have to be in front of the
It's
TV.
really fun to play with other people. It really is.
Mhm.
It's definitely a blast if you have friends. Even if you're alone, you can still play it.
Yeah,
If you have a cat, the cat will play. There's a
the cat will watch you play.
The cat will watch you play.
And the last but not least is Nino Kuni.
What? You haven't finished that game?
I haven't
How long
finished
have
that
you
game.
had that game, Andrew?
For about a year.
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
For about a year. Here's the reason. It goes back into what I was talking about Zelda earlier. It was such a charming game. It's a mixture of JRPG, which I love, and Pokemon, which some of you may hate me for, but I like. And it has a pretty decent story, and it's so charming. And I didn't want to beat it. I didn't want to finish this game, so I put it aside, and I would take my time with it because I really did enjoy the world. So unfortunately, other games came out and it kind of went to the back burner, and then I forgot how to play the game. So that's why
I forgot
haven't.
how to play turn-based JRPGs.
Yeah, well, anybody that knows JRPGs knows those games are just ridiculous with menus
Right,
and shit like that. So it's if you don't keep up with it, you forget how to play the game, or at least I do.
I'm still waiting for the day where they just move all the like controls and the HUD screen to like a tablet,
Oh yeah,
and you can just manage all the screens from there and watch the action on the screen.
that would be
Make
great.
it happen, Square Enix. Do it.
Yeah, definitely something that they should try.
And just put your hand in my pocket and take the money. That's it.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, if you did that, or if I had to pay for maps or something for the app or whatever, I totally would do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, great game. I loved it. I hope to beat it this year. But if you like JRPG, it's definitely a game worth getting.
All right. Is there a game that you would never have on your list in 2013?
A game I would never have.
Right. And this is totally off the cuff. A game that you would just not even consider having on your list. That was so bad,
So bad.
or just in general.
I played a lot of bad games.
There you go.
The
You can-
Walking Dead, first-person shooter.
the
Yeah, Mike couldn't even finish that game.
God, jeez.
I actually beat that game, and I felt for the developers. I felt like they didn't have enough money to make it right. I
yeah,
could.
they did. It's called DayZ.
uh,
Granted, it wasn't first person shooter, but well,
What was?
third person. DayZ.
DayZ is a third person. That's on Steam right now, I believe. No,
It's fun
there
if
there
you
are
want.
there are games that I played on Steam. Like there was a big controversy with what's it, Gone Home
Right.
and Stanley Parable,
Right.
which I've been for this purpose. I've only been doing console games, but that wouldn't be on my list even if it was a console game.
Wow.
Not to say that it's a bad game because it's definitely very charming. Gone Home is what I'm talking about. It definitely tells a story, and it does it in a unique way, and which I can appreciate. But for the reasons people were giving it such a high credit, I understand, but I don't feel it. I don't feel like it was an actual game.
Right. Right.
And it's weird because if
It
you
was
take
kinda
that
like
same
an interactive piece.
right, and the thing is, you could say the same thing about Walking Dead or anything else. Like it's more of an interactive game as opposed to an actual
Adventure
game.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel it. It didn't win me over. And again, it's nothing. I would still play if there was like a part 2 or something like that. I would probably play it just because everybody's talking about it.
Right.
Kind of want to see what they're talking about. It's one of those things. You hear everybody talking about a movie, right?
Right.
And you want to go see it, and you're like, I just didn't feel it like you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Same thing.
That was me with American Housewives.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So well, there you go, and that's probably my game that would not be on there, even though it's considered one of the best games of the year.
All right, and that's on a lot of people's lists, ladies and gentlemen. So that's kind of interesting, and that's a very unique take because nobody else has had that perspective.
Yeah.
All right, well, that ends it for Andrew's top 10. Go and buy all the games because you guys have all the money. Again, my name is Hill. This is Mike Games, Andric, and all of Mike's albums up there. Yeah, he did that on purpose.
I did.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.